We're on topic 16, page 87, and the problems, we're going to do 4 problems from question number 3, 3b, and 3l. So these 2 problems, and then we're going to do from the bottom of the page 3x and 3z. So let's start off with this one, 3b. We have x plus 10 over x minus 7 equals 0. We want to get rid of this fraction here. This is the only one which has a denominator. Of course, this is x over 1. 1 is the denominator here, but we want to get rid of this x over 7. So we're going to multiply each term on both sides of the equation by the lowest common denominator, which is x minus 7. So if I take the x and I multiply it by the x minus 7, I get this. If I multiply this by x minus 7, this term here, the x minus 7 on the numerator and the x minus 7 on the denominator cancel. So I'm left with plus 10. There's a plus here, so it's plus 10. And 0 times x minus 7 equals 0. So I'm going to use the distributive rule here. X squared, x times minus 7 is minus 7x. I have plus 10 equals 0. I'm going to factor this as x minus 5x minus 2. The outer is minus 2x and the inner is minus 7x. If I add the 2, I get minus 7x. Minus 2x, and minus 5x gives me minus 7x. And minus 5 times minus 2 gives me plus 10. So these are the factors for this. I make x minus 5 equal to 0, x equals 5 is a solution, and x equals 2 is a solution. So now we go back into the original equation here. The left side, which is this, x plus 10 over x minus 7. If I put 5 into this equation, place the x with a 5 here, I get 10 over negative 2. 10 over negative 2 is minus 5, so 5 minus 5 gives me 0, which is the right side of the equation. So the left side equals the right side, and x equals 5 is a valid solution. I'm going to put the number 2 into the left side, place the x with a 2. 2 minus 7 is minus 5, so that 2 minus 2, here 10 over minus 5 is minus 2, 2 minus 2 equals 0. The left side equals the right side. And so we have 2 valid solutions, x equals 5 and x equals 2. Now here we have 1 minus 12 over x squared minus 4 equals 3 over x plus 2. Well, if I factor this denominator here, I get x plus 2x minus 2. So the LCD is really x squared minus 4 or x plus 2x minus 2. So I'm going to multiply each term by x plus 2, x minus 2, or x squared minus 4, which it is equal to. So this is the same as that. So multiply the 1 times the x squared minus 4. I multiply the 12 by the x squared minus 4. And I multiply the 3 by x plus 2, x minus 2. I do this so that I see that I can cancel these terms. So now this is x squared minus 4 and this is minus 12 because of the cancellation. And here we have 3 times x minus 2. So the x squared minus 4 and minus 12 becomes x squared minus 16. The minus 4 and the minus 12 become minus 16. Use the distributive rule. 3x and 3 times minus 2 gives me minus 6. Now I bring this term over from the right to to the left becomes minus 3x. This x squared stays the same. And now I have minus 16, and I'm going to bring the minus 6 from the right to the left. It becomes plus 6. Minus 16 plus 6 becomes minus 10. So I factor this. I get x minus 5x plus 2. As you can see, the outer is plus 2x. The inner is minus 5x. Minus 5x and plus 2x gives me minus 3x. And the last times the last gives me the minus 10. So the factors are 5 and minus 2. Excuse me, the solution is x equals 5 and x equals minus 2. These are the factors, and when I put x minus 5 equal to 0, I get x equals 5 as one solution. I put x plus 2 equal to 0, x minus equals minus 2 is another solution. So now we're going to check the left side of the equation using x equals 5. 25 minus 4, 5 squared is 25, minus 4 is 21. This reduces to 4 over 7. If I make this into 3 times 4, and this 3 times 7, the 3's cancel, and I'm left with 4 over 7. So 12 over 21 reduces to 4 over 7. 1 is 7 over 7. So 7 minus 4 over 7 is 3/7. Now if I put the right side of the equation, I have 3x plus 2. I'm going to put x equal to 5 here. 5 plus 2 is 3/7. So the left side equals the right side, so that's a valid solution. Now I try the solution x equals minus 2. I plug it back into the left side of the equation and get 4 minus 4 because we have, let's just check this over here, x squared. So this will become, when I have x squared, I get the 4 here. 4 minus 4 is 0. 0 on the denominator for a fraction gives me an undefined number, so this number is undefined, and 1 minus undefined is also undefined. So we say that x equal, now this should be, excuse me, let me just change this. This should be minus 2 here. Minus 2 is not a valid answer. It is what we call an extraneous solution. So we go to the next page. So there's only one solution here, and the solution is x equals 5. The solution x equals minus 2 is not valid. Okay, so let's continue to the next page. And here we have this very complicated looking problem, x plus 4 over x squared minus 3x plus 2 minus 5 over x squared minus 4x plus 3 minus x minus 4 over x squared minus 5x plus 6. So I've rewritten this right over here. This is just a rewrite of this. Now what I've done is factored x squared minus 3x plus 2 as x minus 2, x minus 1. You'll notice the outer is minus x and the inner is minus 2x, and that gives me the minus 3x here. Now I'm going to factor this, and I get x minus 3, x minus 1 for that. I'm going to factor this, and it's going to be x minus 3 and x minus 2. So I factored each one of these. Notice that they're all plus and as the last number and negative as the coefficient in front of the x term. So if that's the case, we can always write minus minus here. Minus, minus, and minus, minus. Now I look at each one of these, and I can see, well, I can write down x minus 2 and x minus 1. Here I have x minus 3 and x minus 1, so I'm going to make x minus 2, x minus 1 and x minus 3 my common denominator, and here I have x minus 3 and x minus 2. So there are really 3 terms that make up the common denominator. And now what I do is I write this again. I rewrite this whole line, but I multiply each one by x minus 3, x minus 2, x minus 1, which is my common denominator here. So I take the x plus 4 over the x minus 2, x minus 1, and I multiply it by the LCD here. Then I take this one over this, which is this over this, and I multiply by x minus 3, x minus 2, x minus 1. And then I take this last term, the minus goes here, the x minus 4 goes here, and I multiply each one, the numerator by x minus 3, x minus 2, x minus 1. The x minus 3 and the x minus 2 is this over here. So the red lines are because I'm going to combine 2 steps in one and cancel the x minus 2 and the x minus 1 here, cancel the x minus 3 and the x minus 1 here, cancel the x minus 3 here and here, and the minus 2 here. So what am I left with? X plus 4 times x minus 3 right here. Here I'm left with 5 x minus 2. So that's this here. And here I'm left with x minus 4, x minus 1. I've just reversed these. It doesn't really matter. We're okay with that. Equals 0. And now by the FOIL method, I work out that this is x squared. I combine the inner and the outer to give me plus x. Plus 4 times minus 3 gives me minus 12. Minus 5x right here. Minus 5 times minus 2 gives me plus 10. Now I have a minus, which is this minus over here. And I work out that x minus 4 times x minus 1 times x minus 4 gives me x squared minus 5x plus 4. So now you can see that the x squares cancel because I've got an x squared here and I've got an x squared here. Here I have plus x, here I have minus 5x, and here I have plus 5x. So this is a minus, and that becomes a plus, and that cancels this term out. So all I'm left with is x. I've written that here. Now on the other side, I'm going to transpose everything to the other side, but let's work it out. Minus 12 plus 10 is minus 2. Minus 2 and this minus operating on the plus 4 is minus 4. So minus 2 and minus 4 is minus 6 on the left, which becomes plus 6 on the right. So the solution is x equals 6. I plug this back into the original equation, which is right over here. And you can see the right side is 0. So I just go back and I plug it back into the original equation. And 6 plus 4 is 10. 36 minus 18 plus 2 works out to be 20. This is 36 minus 18 is 18. 18 plus 2 is 20. 10 over 20 reduces to a half. Here I have 36 minus 4 times 6 is 24 plus 3. So this comes out to be 15. 36 minus 24 is 12. 12 plus 3 is 15. 5 over 15 reduces to a third. Here, I have x squared, 36, minus 5 times 6 minus 30, plus 6, and 6 minus 4 is 2. Remember, we're working on the x equals 6, plugging into the equation. So this becomes minus 2 over 12, which is 1/6. So each one of these we reduce. This was 10 over 20. I made it equal to a half. This was 5 over 15. it reduces to a third. 2 over 12 reduces to a 6. So now my common denominator is 6. This is 3 over 6. This is 2 over 6. And this is 1 over 6. So I have 3 minus 2 minus 1, which comes out to the 0. The right side also equals 0, so the left side equals the right side. Okay, the last problem on page 87. We're going to use the, take this problem here, and the first thing is we're going to multiply the first times the first, which gives us x squared over 6. So x times x gives me x squared. 2 times 3 gives me 6. Okay, now if I take the outer plus 2 times x over 2, I get 2x over 2, which becomes plus x. So the outer is plus x. The inner is minus x over 3, which is minus 1 times x over 3, which is this. And the last times the last gives me minus 2. So all I'm doing in going from this line to this line is using the FOIL method to simplify these two in the brackets. So I have 4 terms here, and I've used FOIL. I'm going to multiply 6 times x squared over 6, which gives me x squared. 6 times plus x gives me 6x. 6 times minus x over 3 becomes minus 6x over 3, which is minus 2x. And 6 times minus 2 becomes minus 12. So now I combine these two terms. 6x minus 2x is 4x. And I get x squared plus 4x minus 12. I factor that. The two factors are plus 6 and minus 2. You can see the inner is plus 6x and the outer is minus 2x, so that sums to give me plus 4x. So if these are the factors, then x plus 6 equals 0 and x equals minus 6 is one of the solutions. If x minus 2 is the other factor equals 0, then plus 2. So I check the solution. I go back to this equation. I replace the x with minus 6. Minus 6 over 2 is minus 3. Minus 6 over 3 is minus 2. Now you can see that this term by its very nature is 0. Minus 2 plus 2 is 0. So it doesn't matter. The right side is 0, or excuse me, the left side is 0, and the right side is also 0. So one of these terms, this one here specifically, when you substitute minus 6 into it, becomes 0. So 0 times whatever is in these brackets will also be 0. So this is 0, and 6 times minus 4 times 0 is 0. Now, if I check the other solution, which is x equals 2, you can see that if I replace the x with the 2 here, 2 over 2 becomes 1, 1 minus 1 is 0. So in this case, this bracket becomes equal to 0. And again, the left side is 0 and the right side is 0. So this completes our discussion of page 87.